All right, so next we've got Jules Bailey. He's the Executive Vice President for the Oregon Beverage Recycling Cooperative and will be promoted to serve as President and CEO. He's about to get a promotion for the organization beginning in 2023. As Executive Vice President, he's responsible for charting the future of the bottle bill implementation and ensuring the deposit and redemption system remains convenient, relevant, and effective for Oregonians. They might be hiring here, so consider that. He's also responsible for new initiatives, including the bottle bill drop-off. So here is your clicker. Hit the blue button, and there'll be your timer there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And Steve, great job. If the whole recycling thing doesn't work out, you have a future as a medium someday. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here down from California's Canada. And I look forward to going back and reporting that there's actually a lot of people here and not everybody in the Bay Area has moved to Portland yet. So, welcome future Portlanders. I want to talk a little bit about our system up in Oregon, and there's a lot to cover. I won't have time to do it all today, but I want to talk a little bit about what we do, about our pilot program work here, and a little bit about our refillable bottle program. And I think the take home for you at the beginning really is that Oregon's system, A, has evolved over 50 years. So we didn't figure this out overnight. And B, that it is aspirational and not prescriptive, that the state legislature set clear goals and outcomes, and then allowed the private sector to go forward and meet those clear goals and outcomes in the most effective and efficient way possible. So we were the first state with a bottle bill. We were the second jurisdiction in North America after British Columbia. We started in 1971, just celebrated our 50th anniversary. And it really stayed about the same up until mostly the last decade. And so this slide, I think, shows you how much has changed just in the last decade. And that's been mostly through private industry collaborating with policymakers to help update the bottle bill and to do reform. The biggest change is that we increased the deposit from 5 to 10 cents for all containers. And I cannot stress this enough. You can rearrange all the deck chairs on the Titanic you want, and reform won't matter unless you increase the deposit. We went from 64% to an 82% redemption rate literally overnight. And while our infrastructure makes that possible because we have the ability for Oregonians to return and conveniently get their refund for their containers, the demand to return those containers wouldn't be there without the financial incentive. The path of our dime is very simple. I get very confused by the California system. The Oregon one is really for people who got C's in school like me. Basically, you pay the distributor collects a dime from the grocers when they drop off the product. The consumer then purchases their container at the grocery store, makes the grocery store whole with their dime. The distributor forwards the dime onto us, and we are a statewide organization that is owned by distributors. So we are a statewide cooperative of the beverage industry. We hold all those dimes essentially in escrow for the customer. The customer consumes their beverage, brings it back, sometimes to a grocery store and usually directly to us through Bottle Drop. We either refund them directly through Bottle Drop or we reimburse the grocery store, and the circle of life is complete. So I talked a little bit about returning directly back to Bottle Drop. We own and operate big, high volume redemption centers, including one in Northeast Portland that is the largest indoor redemption center in the world, as far as we can tell, by volume. So we have a bank of a lot of reverse vending machines. To your question, we have a bag drop program, customer service counter. They're clean, they're well lit, they're staffed, and we have a lot of high volume returners at those locations. We also have locations at grocery stores. Grocery stores are required to take back containers in Oregon, and many grocery stores have a bag drop at the store that allows you to drop off mixed containers in a bag with your account number on it and have that automatically credited to your account. This slide's a little bit old. We actually have 60 of these across the state at grocery stores. We also put them in rural areas and shipping containers. They're solar powered. It's easy. You just walk up, scan the digital card on your app, and drop off your bag, and you're good to go. Once you've got your money in your account, you can do a lot of different things with it. You can get cash with it. You can soon you'll be able to transfer to your bank account, use Venmo, PayPal. You can spend it in store for a 20% bonus on your money. You can donate it to any of over 4,000 nonprofits in the state of Oregon. You can connect it to your kid's 529 college savings plan, as mine is. It automatically gets invested in my kid's education, a number of different things. I mentioned the bag program. We also make that available to our nonprofit partners. So certified nonprofits can sign up. They distribute bags to their supporters. This is a group of people who raise money to redo the grass on their high school football field in rural Oregon. We have some fundraisers that do up to $100,000 in returns a year through this program. And last year we gave out nearly $6 million. It's not advancing. Oh, there we go. So Oregon's redemption rate, really, which is the true measure of success, is that we are continuing in the 80 to 90% range. Last year, we were at about 84% redemption rate, and that's with return to retail was actually closed because of COVID for half the year. So we had 6 months of closure of return to retail, and we still hit an annual rate of 84%. So the last normal year, 2019, we were at about 90%. We expect to get close to back to there. We do a lot of polling. Oregonians love it. It literally polls at 97%. And interestingly enough, our core supporter is older, rural, and Republican. Our biggest challenge is with younger, upper income folks in the urban areas. So we do a lot of sponsoring of our Portland Timbers to get out the word to that group. And then just to give you a sense of scale, and in Oregon, you can sort of do 10x for everything to get to California numbers. So we're about 1/10 the size. We have 800,000 account holders statewide for our green bag program. That's 1 in 3 Oregon households has a green bag account. And we process right now up to about 40,000 bags per day every single day. We're currently in partnership, you're going to hear more about this, with the City of San Francisco, Our Planet Recycling, the San Francisco Conservation Corps, to work on one of these pilot programs called Bottle Bank. It's built on the back-end infrastructure that we've created in Oregon Beverage Recycling Cooperative, our account management system. And the goal is to pilot that bag drop program for San Francisco. We are providing the app. We're providing a lot of the different technology for counting that we've developed and patented in-house. And it's very fast and very accurate. We're hoping to see this pilot program take off, but I really want to stress, and I can't say this enough, a bag program alone is not sufficient innovation in a system. It is one aspect of innovation and provides one pathway for people to be able to return their containers that makes it more convenient. But what we see in Oregon is the need for customer segmentation. There's a lot of different people who return containers in different ways for different reasons, and a bag program will not make sense for every single person that wants to return containers, nor will a high volume reverse vending machine system make sense for every single person that wants to return containers. You need to offer a mix, and that's really what we try to deliver. We've also built on this infrastructure a refillable and reusable bottle program. You're going to hear from Karen McNamara later. She's doing incredible work with refillables in California. We're operating it at a statewide scale in Oregon. We essentially said, hey, we're bringing all these bottles back anyway. 9 out of 10 of them is coming back through our system. Why are we crushing all of these? Why don't we start washing and reusing some of them? So we flew over to Germany to go learn about what they were doing and went up to Canada and took a look and tried to implement the best parts of that as we could in the American system. It's still pretty small compared to our overall volume. We have about 2.5 million units in circulation currently. We offer a 500 ml and a 12-ounce product, but we have a lot of great craft products that are in our bottles: beer, cider, even wine, which is not in Oregon's bottle bill. I'll just show you here. We do a little bit of marketing around it. So we've been promoting it through TV commercials. We've been doing it online. And what we're able to do is go to a brewery or a craft producer and say, hey, we're going to give you shelf space differentiation. We're going to allow you to tell a great sustainability story to your customer. Oh, and by the way, we're going to cut 10% off your packaging costs right away. And as you might imagine, they tend to say yes when we go in and tell them that story. We have a hard time competing with cans. There's a big movement in the craft industry towards cans, but for craft producers that are in bottles, it's a natural choice. You can see here, these are bottles being manufactured actually in Portland. It's very carbon intensive, as opposed to here, these are bottles coming out of our bottle washer. They come out perfectly clean. They all get inspected, and it is an enormous carbon savings. And in fact, what we found through some of the different studies is that it's about a 96% carbon savings to reuse a glass bottle versus even recycling a one-way glass bottle. It's far less carbon intensive, and that includes the heat that's necessary for the water. That includes the transportation of the bottles and the redistribution of them. So really from an environmental perspective, it's a win-win for everybody. And I'll pause there and take questions. Thank you.
We've got Portia.
Hi, Jules.
Hi. Hey,
Could
Portia.
you tell us what happens to all those 40,000 blue plastic bags a day?
I can. So we use a manufacturer, Petoskey Plastics, for those bags because they can do them in bulk. We bale them. We separate the colored ones from the clear ones because we also get clear plastic bags for their RVMs. We send them back to the manufacturer, and then they're turned into new plastic bags. So our plastic bags are made with recycled content, and then our plastic bags go back to the same manufacturer, goes onto a wash line, they're shredded, pelletized, and put back into the system.
Okay. I think I see a question here back over your shoulder. Oh, Arthur.
What are your thoughts about why Oregon won't work in California?
Well, it's the Oregon model and the California model start from two very different premises. And I don't know that the Oregon model wouldn't work. It's just there's a long way to get from where California is if you want to move to this sort of opposite side of the spectrum. And so California's system is a very public sector based system. And the Oregon model, just to put it in perspective, we have currently one full-time FTE at the Oregon Liquor Control Commission that regulates the entire system in Oregon. They're hiring, if you want to go up and work in Oregon, for a second person, but we essentially have 2 FTE in the state that work on this full-time. The rest of this is entirely done through our cooperative and through the private sector with a lot of responsibility to meet performance targets and to create outcomes. I think the California system was built on a different premise, and sometimes it's hard to shift that overnight.
I think there's time. So there's another question here in the front row, the back area.
So if you're sending the bottles back to, let's say, a beer manufacturer, a lot of times they have different style or size bottles because for marketing.
Yep.
How do you sort those and get them back to the right people?
Great
Sure.
question. So we actually have an industry standard bottle. So we worked with Owens, Illinois, the largest glass producer, I believe, in the world. We produced a custom mold. It actually says bottle drop embossed on it, and it says refillable, please return. And they're very durable bottles. They're designed to go 25 times through the system. And we require that a producer use that bottle. So they all use the identical bottle. And then we have very clear label standards. And for those of you, and Karen knows this firsthand, getting into the refillable space, the labels are a nightmare trying to figure out all the standards and the glue and the papers and the plastics. We have to get those labels off in the wash, create bottles that can then go back to any manufacturer.
David, go ahead and give us some questions from the online audience.
Okay, I have one from Laurentine, Brazil. How many times can you recycle the plastic?
Bags or bottles?
Seems
Or just in general? The bags go into a large system that, I mean, it's a very large bag manufacturer. So it's not exactly a 1-to-1 in every bag. So I think you can recycle it quite a number of times. In terms of the bottles, that's a very complicated question in terms of polymer chains and all of those kinds of things that Sally could probably answer better than I could.
We have a question over here.
Hello, where are the bottles that are going to be refilled returned to?
Great question. That's a really important question. So we base the refillable program on the premise that people don't want to and shouldn't have to do anything different than what they're already doing. So we, in part, created an industry standard bottle to your question so that we could have interchangeability amongst manufacturers. But the other reason that we did it was so that we'd have a very recognizable bottle that we can pull out of our stream and that's easy for our systems to identify. So for you, the consumer, your deposit is the same, your return point is the same, every single thing for you about it is the same. If you don't care about the refillable bottle, then you don't need to care about the refillable bottle. But if you care about it and you want to seek it out, great. And then we do all the work and the complexity on the back end. Similarly, for producers, we needed to make it plug and play simple for them, which is why we designed the 12-ounce bottle to be within a fraction of a millimeter, the exact same dimensions as sort of the standard West Coast long neck, so it can just fit right onto your bottling line. Similarly, we work with Saxco, a big distributor of bottles based here in the Bay Area, actually. And so a brewery or whoever that wants to buy it, they can just call up Saxco like they normally would. And instead of saying, hey, give me a couple of pallets of this glass, they say, give me a couple pallets of that refillable stuff. It gets delivered to them in the exact same way that they would normally get their beer from the same distributor, goes right on their line and goes right into the system. So keeping complexity to a minimum is really important.
We can have one more question. Yeah.
Have you tracked at all whether sales have gone up for beer sellers who use your refillable bottles, or have they?
It's a great question. It's really hard to pull that out of the noise of the overall up and downs of the market, especially in the last few years. I think Jeff had the comment in his notes that everybody's been at home drinking. And so, I mean, I've heard, I wouldn't actually know. But that's certainly been true up in Oregon. We've seen volumes going through the roof. And so we've seen our producers' volumes going up, but it's hard to know exactly what that's from.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you all very much.